Where are you going? It's the most important question you can ask yourself as a food blogger. You know what? Most food bloggers have no idea. I'm not only going to help you figure out where you're actually going, I'm going to also share the most effective way to get there. So stay tuned if you want to become a successful food blogger. Hey there, I'm Jason Logston, and this is Makin Bacon, helping you serve your fans, grow your income, and get the most out of your blog. Today, I want to talk about something that's been on my mind a lot lately, and that's what is a successful food blogger? And it all comes down to figuring out where you're going, where you want to be. You can't start your journey, and you can't be effective during your journey if you don't know where you're trying to go. So I wanted to talk about how do you figure out where you're trying to go? And once you know that, how do you most efficiently get there? Lately, I've been hearing the same question asked again and again. And that's, how do you become a successful blogger? To me, that's like asking, do I need to pack a sweater for this trip? Well, it depends if you're going skiing in Utah or to the beach in Cancun. And if you don't know where your destination is, how can you know what you need to pack? Bloggers run into a lot of the same thing. We talk about becoming a successful blogger, but we don't talk about what that means or how to get there. So people bat around things that you have to do, these tactics that you have to take, putting out Facebook Live videos, being big on Instagram, dominating Pinterest. Well, yeah, those are all different tactics. But if you don't know what your strategy is, if you don't know where you're trying to go, you're not going to know whether or not those tactics really apply to your situation. So I want to go through several of the different successful blogger outcomes you can have and talk about some of the different things you can keep in mind while you're trying to reach them. I go to a lot of different food blogger conferences, and a lot of them are focused just around the tactics. You need the tactics to be able to move forward, but without the strategy, you don't know if they apply to you. You need your strategy before you can figure out the tactics. And one of my favorite quotes is from Sun Tzu. He says, strategy without tactics is the slowest route to victory. But tactics without strategy is just the noise before defeat. It's because if you know where you're trying to go, even if you don't know how to get there and have no actual plan to do it, you at least know where you're trying to go. But if you don't know where you're trying to go, it doesn't matter what you implement because it's not going to be getting you in the right direction. Seth Godin also reminded me of a very similar sentiment when he recounted what Steven Pressfield said. In the story, this person escapes from captivity, and after several weeks of going through the jungle, they finally make it across enemy lines and they're safe back home where they need to be. When they get there, they're debriefed by military intelligence. Say, we'd love to know what's going on behind enemy lines. They say, you know what? I stole this map before I left, and I've been making annotations on it the whole trip. And they looked at the map, and they said, this is worthless. This is a map of London, not the jungles where you were. But because the person knew their end destination, it didn't matter that they were following the wrong steps to get there. They still got where they wanted to go. So it's not ideal to not have tactics, but without strategy, you're never going to know where you're actually aiming for. So let's talk about a few of the different places you might want to go as a blogger. There's no right or wrong answer here, and you might not be just going for one of these, but keeping in mind where you're trying to go is going to help really maximize your odds of success. The first is a content creator, and that's kind of the stereotypical blogger path. You create content and you make money off of that content. For food bloggers, this generally means putting out a lot of recipes, putting out sponsored posts, having ad networks on your site, and it's a lot of different revenue sources that are kind of trickling in. You also don't just have to be a traditional blogger to follow this path. You can implement it on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, anywhere that you could possibly sell ads or sell influence to different people. But if you are going down this path, the things you need to focus on is simple. Traffic. Traffic, traffic, traffic. It's all about the traffic for this. The more traffic you have, the more ads get clicked on, the more affiliate links get clicked on, and the more money that you make. In general, this is a really competitive, really crowded space. You have to be always on, always trying to move forward, and it's really, really hard to succeed here exclusively. You can use this space in a lot of the different paths that we're going to talk about. So it's good to keep in mind, and it's good to work it in where you can. But if you want to be a successful blogger of pretty much any kind, this is usually not the path that I'd recommend following exclusively. next path is selling products and services. There's a lot of similarities to needing to build a base of traffic coming in, but your focus on what you do with that traffic and the type of traffic you really want is going to be very different. Selling products and services can encompass a wide variety of stuff. We're talking about anything from a downloadable PDF that's 20 pages you're selling for $2 up through $500 or $1,000 cooking courses, custom kitchen equipment, putting on appliances, iPhone apps, branded merchandise, cookbooks. There's just so much variety of what you can do and accomplish by selling products and services. Each one will kind of have its own nuanced way to best approach it, but in general, there's a lot of things that will work across all of those. The main thing you want to focus on is building that trust, creating those raving fans that want to hear what you have to say. The size of your audience doesn't matter nearly as much as it being the right audience and being a passionate audience. You also really need to focus on creating content that's going to speak directly to your fans. You're going to have to understand what their needs are, what they're looking for, and then provide the solutions to that. This content's not always going to be SEO friendly, but you're going to be speaking to the people that you're already talking to, that are listening to you. And when you talk to them, you need to make sure that they feel like you're speaking directly to them and that you understand them. Building up your email list is critical in this path. Being able to send directed, targeted messaging to your fans is the quickest way to have successful product launches, get feedback on the type of projects that you're working on, and just all around grow your business. Those emails are critical. This path can also be very, very stressful. You put this time and energy and money and blood and sweat and tears into a product, and you put it out there into the world where everyone's going to be using it and judging it. And it is a hard, mentally strenuous process to go through. It's something that I've battled with. I am pretty good at it now because I've been doing it for the last decade, but it can be really hard to put yourself out there in front of a bunch of strangers and say, hey, here's something I made, give me money for it. It can be challenging, but I think it's worth pushing through that challenge for a lot of the rewards that you can get. The next path is working with brands. This can be influencer work or sponsored posts even, that people are paying you to put out content to your fans. This could also be working directly with a company, creating content or recipes and licensing it to them, or creating it directly for them. You may be the face of their YouTube channel that they hire you to put out videos every week. Companies might also hire you on as a consultant, whether that's in food photography, social media outreach, or a host of other things that companies are looking for help trying to accomplish. You might also be hired to do demo work, where you travel around at different conferences doing demos for companies, doing cookbooks, either traditional or self-published for companies, or doing a cooking show, either on an actual broadcast network or on a YouTube channel for a company. So there's lots of different ways you can interact with companies, and all of these are successful outcomes of having a good blog. You're just going to want to attack them differently than you would if you're trying to sell products or if you're just trying to drive traffic and sell ads. And that's because if you want to work with any of these companies, you have to remember that the brands are your audience, not the people coming and reading your content. Everything you do needs to be designed to speak to these brands and to make yourself look good in their eyes. If you talk to most bloggers, they'll say, yeah, I'd love to work with brands. I want to get more brand work. But the big difference here is most of them don't build their blog and build their content around working with brands. They try to build a content marketing blog where they're just bringing in lots of people through SEO traffic, and they're not really putting out the type of stuff that brands really want to see. So if you do want to work with brands, it's the type of thing that you can look at early on. What type of content can you put out that's going to speak to these brands and make you really stand out from all the other food bloggers that are just trying to get in front of them? You're going to have a big leg up when you start talking to them directly. The last goal I want to just mention very briefly, and that's using a food blog to support an existing business. There's a lot of different ways that this can manifest, and there's a lot of overlap with the different goals we've already talked about. A good example of this is my friend Chris Spear. He runs a catering company called Perfect Little Bites, and he uses his blog as a marketing engine to find customers. Any benefit he gets from his blog outside of finding customers is really just gravy, but his focus is finding customers for his actual business. So if you have a business that's semi-food related, a food blog can be a great way to bring in these types of customers. So now you know a few of the different successful outcomes you can have as a food blogger. You don't have to just pick one, but knowing where you're trying to get to is going to make it so much easier for you to successfully get there. So look at these options, see what speaks to you, what type of work you're actually interested in doing long term, and then attack it. Try to put out the type of content that's going to help you build the type of company and the type of job you want to be doing for the long term. If you're interested in discovering a few more ways that you can just make money from your blog while you're pursuing these other paths, you can check out this video. I go into detail on a lot of the different ways that you can actively make money from your blog and a few of the different pursuits you might want to go after.